We are live for another exciting edition of the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. Joining me is Ralph Valenti. Ralph, we are making our predictions for AEW Full Gear. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here. It's going to be a fun night, I think. Very, very fun night. 9 matches on the card, Ralph. Which match do you think is going to be the match of the night?
I'm really looking forward to Darby and Cody. I think that I like the dynamic between that. I know that there's a lot of history in that rivalry, especially considering that Darby has not yet been able to beat Cody Rhodes. And the fact that the TNT title is on the line this time, that certainly adds another element to this feud. So it's going to be interesting. You know, can Darby Allin actually, defeat Cody tonight? Is it going to be another loss for Darby when he goes against Cody? I think all of that makes it for an interesting match and one of the matches that I'm looking forward to most.
I totally agree with you. I think it's going to be a fun match. I think personally the match of the night is going to be the Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston main event, especially after the promo that we got, to close out the night. I think it was just such a good promo, such a good go home angle. I'm very excited for that. A lot of matches on this show, Ralph. We have 9 matches on the card. Before we get to the actual match predictions, I do want to touch on a couple things leading into AEW Full Gear. Also play some over and unders before we get started with the predictions. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us right now on the live stream of the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Get some stuff in order. First off, merchandise, as you see behind me. Also, I'm wearing the t-shirt. We have mugs, hoodies, blankets. If you want to purchase something, the link is in the description. You can get 10% off using the promo code SCPB podcast. And of course, you could donate and join a super chat party. Any question you want answered, we will answer it for you. And before the podcast even started, before we even went live, Ralph, Jamie Bazrea, and I hope I pronounced that right. I know it's been donated before, but Jamie, thank you very much for donating $10 to the super chat party already. Here's the question. What surprise appearance do you see tonight? He's going with Real World's champion, Nick Aldis. Now,
not a bad choice.
We did a poll earlier this week where 38% of people said Tessa Blanchard over the possible choices, which were Sting, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Marty Squirrel, and Ryback. And I think Mr. Meltzer, believe it or not, has speculated that it is Ryback, Ralph.
Yeah, and that was my original choice. When we first started discussing this, I said that I think that Ryback is going to be the guy that does debut because he's a guy that has mentioned many times on his podcast that he has a lot of interest in potentially working with or for AEW. So that's a logical choice. I could certainly see Tessa Blanchard. I know that there's a lot of interest and intrigue and discussion about Sting potentially making an appearance tonight. All of which would make for a really cool moment in AEW. And again, just solidify the fact that, on all of their pay-per-views, they are able to take that element of surprise and really deliver for their fans. So, hopefully we get one of those 3 and, makes for an exciting moment for everybody.
I'm seeing a couple people comment saying that it is Sting. Someone said CM Punk, especially after the tweet that he had earlier. After the tweet that he had earlier today, I wouldn't be surprised if it is actually him, but no, it's not CM Punk. I know a lot of people are talking about Sting appearing in the Darby Allin versus Cody Rhodes match, where he will be besides Darby in that match. Obviously, that would be huge, especially for those that love wrestling on TNT. Sting was a big component of that when it was in WCW. How likely do you think it could be Sting, Ralph?
Well, I mean, I could certainly see it happening. I've always viewed Sting as an outsider from WWE. And that's mostly because, he's done, I think most people know him for his work in both WCW and TNA. That's probably what he's most well known for. So, he had a brief stint in WWE. He lost to Triple H. He had the match against Seth. The match against Seth was actually, in my opinion, pretty good, especially considering Sting was older. So in my opinion, I can see him showing up in a company like AEW because they have been able to position themselves as mainstream pro wrestling, the strong alternative to WWE. It's not like he's showing up at some random show in like a bingo hall or a VFW. Like this, him showing up there would actually be meaningful. So, I could see it happening. I could also see it not happening. It could be one of those very heavily circulated internet rumors that, CM Punk should have returned 9 times by now. But
yeah, that's true. And Kenny Omega should have been number 30 in the Royal Rumble 4 times by now. So,
right.
Obviously the one that I was picking for this was Hiroshi Tanahashi, which is not happening after he lost that power struggle to Kenta. But Kenta did tweet out to Jon Moxley asking where he is. There's always that possibility of this confirming the New Japan AEW partnership. But I have my doubts. I am going with either Sting or Tessa Blanchard at this point for a pairing. But Ryback, if it is Ryback, I know some people, especially in our comment section, I saw a lot of people anti-Ryback at this point. Are you anti-Ryback?
I wouldn't say I'm anti-Ryback. I think Ryback gets a bad rep, one, because a lot of people consider him a Goldberg knockoff, and whether that is justified or not, I guess that's up for the fans to decide. And again, It's just another guy from WWE. I think that the problem with Ryback, or the issue he would have to overcome, would be the fact that his physical appearance really fits that WWE mold. And I think that having him going from a company like WWE and coming into AEW, just the fact that he looks the way he looks, the way he works in the ring, and the way he kind of carries himself in the ring, it's very WWE-esque, at least from what we've seen so far. Doesn't mean he's not capable of more, but that's just kind of who he is. But I wouldn't be against it, because I think overall it would be good for AEW. You're getting a guy who has a lot of attention, has made a name for himself that in WWE, which would draw more attention to AEW, which is ultimately what you want. You want to grow that brand.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, but because he's been out of the game for so long, I don't know if he really has that prestige, or that, like, oh my God, Ryback's here, that people think it should be. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like him, and especially that, I mean, rightfully so, he does complain a lot about WWE. But at the same time, if things start going wrong in AEW, is he going to be the same towards AEW as he is as he was in WWE? But I know a lot of people have hinted, even Shay, one of our Instagram followers, he says EC3 as a possibility as well. What do you think about EC3? I mean, he's been on Impact, he's been in Ring of Honor. Is he actually signed anywhere, or is this like he just does whatever he wants?
I guess he's a freelance artist. I guess he goes where he wants and does what he wants. So I guess that makes it, likely for him to show up, or just as likely, I should say. Right.
All right. So the surprise, there's a lot to talk about here. A lot of people are talking about it in the live chat. If you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments who you think it is. Let's talk about the women's division. There's 2 championship matches tonight in the women's division. The first one is Serena Deeb versus Allison K. Recently becoming a free agent, Allison K, mind you. And of course, for the AEW Women's Champion, it is Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose. Now, a lot of people can make the argument that AEW is actually booking the NWA Women's Championship better than their own title. Both these matches have the possibility of being very good. We already seen Shida and Rose at Double or Nothing have a good match. But Ralph, here's the question. Which women's match will be better? Shida and Rose, or Allison K and Serena Deeb?
I'm going to go with Shida and Rose, because I've already seen it before, and I know that it can deliver to, pretty decent level. And the fact that there's already a backstory there. So, a little bit of emotional investment in it. And that really should be the match that you would want to deliver, because that is their main women's title. That's the one that you would want to be prominent throughout the night, and that's the one that you'd want to see highlighted. So hopefully that match is better.
Yeah,
at least if you're from an AEW standpoint.
But then again, I mean, Serena Deeb, since she's come to AEW, has had very good matches from, ones against Hikaru Shida, but even someone like Layla Hirsch, who is 3 matches in AEW, and they had very good matches. Allison K, I mean, let's not knock her. She's very good in her own right. It's just funny that she makes a comment how no one in NWA is fighting for the NWA Women's Championship. The week she becomes a free agent, she gets a title match. And even Thunder Rosa pointed this out on Twitter. She called calling the pot kettle black, whatever that phrase is. I'm so bad with phrases when doing live streams, but I actually think Deeb versus K is going to be the better women's match, honestly. We've seen Nyla Rose versus Shida. We know it's going to be a good match. However, I think the lack of build, and we're going to touch on this when we talk about the match, but I think the lack of build really hinders how this match is going to deliver personally. There was such a good story heading into their first match that this time it's just like, okay, Nyla's the number one contender. She only is in this match because Shida agreed to it. There's not a story behind it. And I know Cody Rhodes mentioned this in the media call this week that you don't necessarily need a story behind every match, which I agree. I agree and disagree, especially because this isn't the main event. Like the main event needs a story, bar none. But this match, when you have 5 matches with good stories behind them and could easily be match of the night, I think this one, as sad as it is, could be put on the back burner, no problem.
One of the things I hate about WWE is when we get a random intercontinental or US title match where it's like, okay, The Miz is the champion, and then the week before the pay-per-view, Dolph Ziggler, you're perfect for that spot because we know you can have a good match.
True.
Okay, I know Dolph Ziggler can have a good match. I know that there's a lot of people that can have good matches, but I want to be into it, especially when you already know there's a rivalry there because there's some type of backstory. I hate that WWE does not capitalize on this and they just throw matches together last minute. Okay, you're going to get a title match on Raw, which on Raw, it's fine on a one-off, but on a pay-per-view, you'd want to see it build. You want investment because if people aren't invested, they are not buying the pay-per-view. Now,
Correct.
Luckily for, like you pointed out, Eddie Kingston, Darby Allin, all of those feuds, everything else going on that card has a lot of investment for a lot of people and they're emotionally invested. So they're likely to buy the pay-per-view. But if you said to me, this is going to be like the co-main event, I'm probably not buying it because I'm not really all that interested in this match. And that's not because I don't think it won't be a good match. It's because I'm not emotionally invested into it.
True. But with all the matches that are on this list, on this card tonight, we all know the semi-main event is going to be Orange Cassidy versus John Silver. And the reason I bring that up is because I want to do some over and unders, Ralph. All right. So I have four on my list here of over and unders.
All right.
First one I have here, over under 1.5 play kicks from Orange Cassidy tonight.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Over by a lot.
So he's going to do nothing but play kicks.
I'll certainly do more than 1.5.
All right. I know a lot of people know how much you love Orange Cassidy. I know you're very excited for their match against John Silver, but I actually think I agree with you on this one. It's definitely going to go over. All right. In the Elite Deletion match, Ralph, over or under 1.5 gimmick changes from Matt Hardy?
Oof.
Easily, I think it's over. I think it's over.
Because that would essentially mean he's coming in as one guy and he's going to change once. So,
well, 1.5 means he would have to change twice. If he's over 1.5, that's 2 changes. If it's under, it's 1 change or no changes. I definitely think he's going to do like the 3 faces of Matt Hardy. I think with a new, maybe even a new character that we don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that happening.
Yeah. All right. Over and under 3 matches with color.
Oh, that's a good one. Cody's bleeding tonight for sure.
Has to.
I'm sure Moxley will as well.
Yep. That one, if that one doesn't have color, it's going to be disappointing just for that itself.
And I could probably see.
I think
Guevara probably.
Guevara might. It depends on like how authentic it looks in the cinematic sense. I mean, usually those cinematic matches don't end up with color, but I think if there's a third match that gets color, it's going to be Orange Cassidy kicking John Silver so hard that he cuts him. That's probably what's going to happen. Just splits him wide open with those devastating kicks. If not, I'm pretty sure there's a fajita from Chili's that John Silver will throw at him. But no, I'm going to go under. Definitely Cody, definitely Moxley. I don't know if there's a third match that gets color unless it's unintentional. Like maybe like Hangman and Omega where there's a knee strike that might hit Hangman in the nose and bust him open that way. But as far as like, right, accidentally, but like Moxley and Kingston, in that I Quit match, that's got to have color just to add to the drama. Cody, because he's like his dad, he needs blade jobs like every other time. So that's getting color. Anything else, I think, is just inadvertent. So last one, without saying which ones, over under 2.5 title changes. There's 5 titles on the line tonight.
Under.
Okay. Without saying which title is going to be, definitely under. Let's see. Man, that's a tough one. I will. I'd probably say 2 titles change. So that would be under for me. I go with 2. All right. So let's get to the card itself. Again, everybody, thank you for joining us here on this live edition of the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Michael Valenti alongside Ralph Valenti. If you want to support the channel, you can simply by first donating and joining the Super Chat party. Any dollar amount helps support the channel, and we'll answer your question as soon as it comes up. Also, we have merchandise, as you see on me, t-shirts behind me, the hoodies. We got mugs, blankets, $10 off your purchase by clicking the link in the description using the promo code SCPB10. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's start with the first match of the night. It is Serena Deeb versus Allison K for the NWA Women's Championship on the buy-in. This match could have been on the main card, but obviously it's AEW putting on NWA's match, NWA's belt, so I see why it's not on the buy-in, especially also because it's put last minute. This is the second time that NWA's Women's Champion is featured in an AEW pay-per-view. Thunder Rosa losing to Hikaru Shida at the last pay-per-view. We have Serena Deeb, who just recently dethroned Thunder Rosa on NWA for the Women's Championship. And as I mentioned before, it seems like AEW is booking their NWA's championship better than AEW's Women's Championship. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because NWA is like, here's the story, just tell it on national television? Or is it just because AEW's women's roster is so bad that they can't really do anything with it right now?
I don't think it has anything to do with the women's roster being bad per se. I think it has everything to do with the fact that one of the biggest criticisms of the AEW as a whole is that they overlook their women's division. You know, they just don't give it the amount of time that I guess people would want to see it get in order to really solidify it. Now, that being said, look, you can do one of two things. You can really start to solidify the women's championship and the women's division. I don't know if they have the talent to do that right now, but the one thing that they do have is the ability to promote the NWA championship, which is a very prominent name within the wrestling industry. Everybody who's been a fan of professional wrestling is going to know what NWA is, or at least has heard of it before. Right. There's a lot of history there. Yes. So if you're going to do one of the two, look, we can take years to rebuild the women's division, but you know, while we're doing that, why don't we try to promote this title? Because the name itself, NWA, has a lot of prestige to it.
True. And it seems like Tony Khan and Billy Corgan have a very good relationship. It seems like they have no problem talking about each other. And obviously Serena Deeb, who signed with AEW before winning the NWA Women's Championship, that's obviously got to be something to it. So I think it's like hey, you scratch my back, I scratch your situation. And you're seeing it play out tonight where they're going to get the buy-in. And like I said before, when we did this argument over if Orange Cassidy is buried or not, how they used the buy-in match to try to recruit those undecided buyers to buy it. And I think, honestly, this match would do a better job in doing that than Orange Cassidy versus John Silver, just because of the comedy aspect that match is going to have, where this one is going to be serious and obviously for a championship.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
All right. So, as mentioned, Allison K is a free agent. She announced that she is a free agent on Twitter. As soon as she does, she becomes the number one contender for the NWA Women's Championship. A lot of people are starting to speculate, is this a tryout match for her to join AEW? Is this a one-off, or do you think she takes the title off of Deeb and then eventually signs with AEW, or is she winning the title to bring it back to NWA, re-signing with them?
Well, I think that we've seen historically that if you perform well in a tryout match or a one-off match and you do good enough, AEW is willing to go out there and sign you. So I think that this could probably be one of those situations where if she goes out there, she does really well and the fans really want them to sign her, then they will. I don't see Dee dropping the title in this match, though. I really don't. She just won it not too long ago, so
True.
I don't see it.
And especially because she won it off Thunder Rosa, which a lot of people didn't even think that she would drop the title. And as soon as she does, the rumor started circulating that Thunder Rosa would be leaving NWA and joining AEW or even WWE, which apparently Dave Meltzer got that one wrong. So
somebody told me to smile.
There it is, folks.
I don't think they truly understand the dynamic between us when we're actually recording this. So you're obviously the mouthpiece of the show.
That is
You're
correct.
The guy that does all the talking, the lead-ins, and all of that stuff. I essentially just play off everything. So they don't understand that right now, as we're literally in a Zoom meeting, essentially.
Right.
I'm just really sitting here listening to what you're saying in my earphones. I don't even know if I'm on the camera half the time.
You are on right now.
Half asleep. It's not because I'm bored or I'm uninterested. It's because I literally don't know if I'm on the fucking camera. So I'll smile for you. There you go.
All right. Rule number 1, when you're in television, when you're on screen, Ralph, always assume your camera's hot.
How's this?
There you go. There it is, everybody. There it is. He's smiling. Great posture. Come on. Someone should donate $1 to the Super Chat Party just for that smile. Come on. Maybe even $2. But anyway, who wins this match? Allison K or Serena Deeb?
I already told you Serena Deeb's going to win.
All right. I am also going with a Serena Deeb retention here. But all right. Let's move on to Ralph's favorite wrestler in AEW. That is one Orange Cassidy going up against Mr. John Silver of the Dark Order. We all know John Silver runs the Dark Order. Let's face it. It's not Brody Lee. It's John Silver. This match was originally on the buy-in and then got moved to the main show after the NWA Women's Championship was announced. There has been a little bit of a story behind this one where the Dark Order seemed to get in the way of Orange Cassidy's matches, especially his TNT Championship matches. He has Orange Cassidy has been in 3 championship matches. The Dark Order has been involved in all 3 of them. Mainly leading the way is, in fact, John Silver. And I actually feel like this match has had more build to it than Cody and Darby and Sheeta and Rose. Would you agree with me on that?
Oh.
No?
If you're an AEW fan, you know the deep history between Cody and Darby Allin.
Right. No, I understand that, but I'm saying for like this section of the match. This from
on
all
a weekly
out
basis, you think they put more of an emphasis on those other feuds than this one, you're saying?
Yes, because I think in this case, there's been something going on each week with Orange Cassidy and John Silver, whereas the Cody's been having matches with Orange Cassidy, and Darby's been watching from the rafters like he's Sting in '97, but that's by design. And here's what I would say to that. Look, you don't need a lead in, and you don't need a long drawn out storyline to really sell Yankees Red Sox. Everybody knows the rivalry between those two. If you're a hardcore AEW fan, you know the history between Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes. I think that Cody Rhodes did a phenomenal job selling everybody last minute with the promo that he cut on Darby Allin. I thought that was one of Cody's best promos, and he didn't even have to be too much over the top and emotional and fake cry and all of that stuff. I just thought it was a really good promo. So if you've been a fan of AEW all along, I mean, I like the fact that Darby Allin has sat in the wings and just kind of watched essentially Cody do what he's supposed to do. He has the open challenge. He's been winning the matches, which is what he's supposed to do. And as he wins those matches, it helps build up the title. It helps him gain momentum, and it helps it kind of position Darby almost as this guy who, look, he's going up against this unstoppable force. I mean, he took the title off of Brody Lee. He's won all the matches except for the one draw that he had against Orange Cassidy. So I don't have a problem with it. Don't overbook it. The feud is going to sell itself. I don't have a problem with it at all. I thought it's been just enough, and I thought that the promo at the end of the match there that Cody cut was perfect, and that sold me, especially on the match. Yeah, I mean, I would not have had that close the go home show of AEW Dynamite, but I will agree with you. It was a good promo. It was a very good promo. So maybe, like you said, maybe this is one where they don't need to really put too much into it and they don't overbook it. So thank you very much, Eric Alta. $5 donation to the Super Chat Party. Great show. Enjoy the pay-per-view. # Ralph's Hidden Smile. So Ralph, there you go. Your smile's already got $5 in the Super Chat Party. Thanks. Very nice. So, I do want to say though, this match between Orange Cassidy and John Silver, I think is definitely for the diehard fans. Obviously, there's a cult following with Orange Cassidy. Obviously, there is those that follow BTE and love everything John Silver's doing with the Dark Order. But for the casual fan, they might not know what's going on here. They might not know Orange Cassidy. I mean, I think we know for sure like what Orange Cassidy's deal is. But John Silver, on the other hand, I don't know if everybody quite knows the comedy behind John Silver. We got a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. Especially what's going on the past week here in the States. I think this match...
Something happened in the United States this week?
Yeah, some jackass was in the White House. Now he's not. And you got some other guy that's going to go in and people don't know how to count votes. It takes too damn long. Whatever the case may be. But we need a laugh. We really need a laugh. So if this match is an absolute, it's not going to be technical. It's not going to be one that Meltzer gives 1,000 stars to. But it's for a laugh.
This will be no Benoit angle.
No, it will not. It'd be like Santino and R-Truth, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yep.
Totally fine with that. So there was a $2 donation from BDP for Ralph Smile. Keep up the great work. So Ralph, there you go. Smile more. We'll get more money on the podcast, and maybe we could do this full time. Smile more, damn it.
Can't. I'm the bad guy of the show.
Even DDP smiled when he was the bad guy.
Someone's got to be the villain. Everybody loves the bad guy.
Yeah. Well, they don't like the villain right now either. But anyway, who wins this match?
Well, it's interesting. Before I give you my prediction for the match, I just want to tell you exactly what I'm going to be doing during this match. I'm going to pull up my phone. I'm going to go on Grubhub. I'm going to get Chili's delivered to my house. I'm going to pour myself a big glass of orange juice. And then by the time I eat that, drink it, probably go to the bathroom quick. Hopefully by that time when I come back, this match will be over and I'll see who wins because I'm really not all that interested in it. But I think that probably Orange Cassidy gets the win here.
Oh man. I am going I'm going to go with John Silver. I'm going with John Silver. I think he's going to win. I think they're going to do some shenanigans to protect Orange Cassidy, and John Silver's going to get the win. What that leads to, I have no idea. Maybe it leads to like a more serious match between the Best Friends and the Dark Order. But I see some people saying that I'm not a real wrestling fan. I'm just an Orange Cassidy stan. No, I'm not. I'm not an Orange Cassidy stan. I'm a fan of him. I will defend like his concept, but I'm not like a diehard. It's a joke on the show that Ralph hates Orange Cassidy so much that I just egg him on. Remember the dynamic of the show, ladies and gentlemen.
By the way, any chance we get RVD debut tonight?
Ooh. Does he bring his wife there? Katie Forbes?
I don't think it's his wife. Are they married? I thought they were just dating.
I thought they were married.
That would be interesting if he showed up, considering he has been pretty critical of AEW.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it'd be the less of his worry. Like I think it's the least likely RVD, especially when he calls them all petite wrestling. So if someone says I'm crazy as hell for thinking John Silver's winning. Well, maybe. I don't know. But let's move on to the Ultimate Deletion match, or the Elite Deletion match. Sorry. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. This is a rematch of their disastrous Broken Rules match, which had many people worried that Matt Hardy would be seriously injured. This time it's cinematic, so if something goes wrong, they could stop it, regain, and edit it out. So we've seen some other cinematic matches before. Where do you think this match will wind up at the end of it? Will it be closer to the Boneyard match in the Stadium Stampede, or more like the Swamp Fight, or one of those other stupid matches that WWE put on, or the Tooth and Nail match?
Yeah, I hope it's entirely different from anything WWE has done with any of their cinematic matches. And I only say that not because, WWE did a bad job. I thought that they did a really good job with the Boneyard match, but AEW, I want to see them do their own thing. I want them to be different. I want them to be the alternative. I don't want to see another version of Matt Hardy's match that he had with Bray Wyatt in WWE. Let's see what they're going to do. Make it different. That's going to be difficult, especially considering there's only so much you can do with that Matt Hardy gimmick, the woken or broken gimmick. I don't know. I am a little intrigued in this. I want to see what happens with it. I actually don't mind them doing the cinematic approach because, we've seen what happened the last time Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara worked with each other, and it was unfortunate, but I wouldn't want to see them like try to top that or try to actually make it work this time. This allows them to be safe and staged reckless, if you want to put it that way.
True. There's a lot of matches on this card, so even if this doesn't quite deliver, I don't think it will really hinder like the overall performance of AEW Full Gear tonight. I think it will be something that will be an attempt to be entertaining, but it doesn't have to be like, oh my God, this was the greatest thing ever. How important do you think it is for this match to actually deliver?
I don't think it's that important. Neither of these guys, it's probably more important for Sammy Guevara.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's so much important for Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy, look, he's done everything he needs to really do it in professional wrestling.
Right.
He could retire tomorrow. Sammy Guevara is at the very beginning of his career here. So
true. All right.
He's got more to prove.
All right. So who wins this?
Sammy.
I'm going with Matt Hardy. It's his
again.
Yep. It's his style of match. So they got to have the babyface winning a cinematic match, I would assume, but wouldn't be the first time a heel won the cinematic match. Let's move on to our next match here. It is the big match over the dinner debonair. Chris Jericho versus MJF. If MJF wins, he joins the Inner Circle. We've seen a lot of dissension and tension between MJF and Wardlow, also members within the Inner Circle. So I feel like there's going to be some kind of interference in this match. The question is, will it be Wardlow on MJF? Will it be members of the Inner Circle on Jericho? Or would there be some kind of weird swapping of either one where it's either Wardlow goes after Jericho or Inner Circle goes after MJF?
I could see this going in one of two directions. I can see the entire Inner Circle turning on Jericho and then MJF actually being the leader of the new Inner Circle. Or I could see Wardlow turning on MJF tonight and joining the Inner Circle, and MJF would essentially be by himself. I don't know which direction I see it going. This is a tough match to predict.
It really is.
Because, when you think about Jericho's last major feud was the Orange Cassidy feud, no?
Yes, that is correct.
MJF is supposed to be the future. He needs a big win to bounce back from his loss to Moxley. Jericho needs to rebuild himself up. He hasn't necessarily done that because he's been doing a lot of comedy skit gimmicks.
True.
I don't know. This is tough.
I think the thing is with Jericho at this point is he does not care about his legacy at this point. It's already there. I don't think what he does between now and when he goes part-time in AEW is really going to hinder the legacy of Chris Jericho in his 30 years of professional wrestling. So he's doing these more relaxed comedy bits, putting guys over like Orange Cassidy and MJF and the Inner Circle. I think this is just the beginning of this story where MJF could possibly join the Inner Circle and then create some kind of mutiny against Chris Jericho. And then he becomes the new leader of the Inner Circle. That I totally see happening. And if that's the case, do you think that leads to a Chris Jericho face turn?
I could see that happening too. Yeah. That's why I was saying, I don't know. I could see MJF doesn't need a faction of any sort, but he has said, going back originally before he even approached the Inner Circle, he did say, the only way to get ahead in this company is if you join a faction. So maybe I will.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe he ends up being the leader of the Inner Circle. Maybe he changes the name of it and then we get Jericho turning face. I don't know where this is going to go.
It makes so much sense to make Jericho turn face now because no one's booing Jericho as a heel now. Everyone's singing along to Judas every time he comes on.
Yeah.
He plays off more like he doesn't really act like the heel he was.
He's more Lionheart Jericho from WCW.
Kind of a little bit more goofy than that Lionheart, but still we haven't seen the 1,000 holds of Dean Malenko yet, which maybe that happens in some time. Now, we know there's been some kind of political background in this with the whole town hall thing. So how much do you think they do some kind of like Donald Trump-esque swerve here where Jericho loses and he tries to blame it on outside interference and says he lost, even though he lost, he won kind of thing. I saw some people on Twitter pitching this idea.
Now that you say that, I could see it happening. The main thing but I don't think this has been a bad build to the match.
No.
But there's been a lot of comedy in this build to this match. And
yes,
I would have liked to see them take it a little more seriously, only because Jericho at one time was really their top heel. And I'm not saying he's not one of their top heels, but he hasn't been acting like the top heel that he was when he originally debuted in AEW for a while now. And MJF is another guy that is really supposed to be one of their top heels. And this feud, I feel like, could have meant a lot more. I think it's still important. And I still think that the fans will be into it, but I feel like they missed the boat a little bit on this feud. I think that this could have been taken a little more seriously and meant a lot more to professional wrestling right now. I mean, look, because I understand AEW is different. They want to be the alternative to WWE, but you go and you watch New Japan Pro Wrestling like you watched this morning. I'm sure you watched some of it.
I did. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did watch some of it.
You look at Jay White and Ibushi and the emotion involved in that feud, and just the fact that match itself meant so much. I feel like something like this should have been at that level, and it's not at that level because they were, singing and dancing and whatever else in between. I don't know. That's just my take, but
yeah. All right. So at the end of this, you're saying it's hard to predict, but I'm going to make you predict here. Who wins, Jericho or MJF?
I'm going to say MJF wins.
I'm going to go with, due to Santana, Ortiz, and Sammy Guevara, MJF loses and Chris Jericho wins, so that MJF does not join the inner circle. And that creates the separation of the rest of the inner circle. So that's where I'm going with it. I think it is going to be Chris Jericho over MJF there. All right, so let's head to our next match. It is the Eliminator Tournament Finals. Kenny Omega versus Adam Hangman Page. I think a lot of people are excited for this one. I know many people assume that this is going to be the match of the night. I think that it's the most exciting match, a lot of people are saying. So here's the question. Will this be will it meet the expectations? Will it be the match of the night? I know you said Darby and Cody, I said Moxley and Kingston, but will this be one that people are talking about as possibly the match of the night regardless?
Yeah, it should be up there. The thing is, here's the thing. They can't try to overdo this. It can't overstay its welcome. This match could be a really good 20, 25-minute match. They could hit their spots. It could be really good. Or it could be a 40-minute match where it's just like, oh my God, if this was a 20-minute match, it would have been 10 times better. I am really interested in this match. I think that this is going to be a really important match for both of these guys, either for Hangman Page to solidify himself as one of the top guys in the singles division. Mm-hmm. And, what happens with Kenny? Are we going to see him actually, be this cleaner guy that he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling? There's a lot of people that have been critical of Kenny Omega and his run in AEW. So I think this is a big match for both of them.
Right. Now, on the Go Home episode of AEW Dynamite, there was a lot of emphasis, a lot of storytelling with these two. And there was the 2 interview segments. There was the video package, Sync 2, Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone from Cinderella. And, there was obviously this tease with Kenny Omega and the cleaner, as you brought up already, is something that has really been hinted on. So I brought up on the review. I know you weren't on the review episode of this past Thursday, and a lot of people miss you, by the way. You got to come back on Thursdays to do reviews because
the bad guy is back tonight live.
Yes. People miss you. You don't realize how many comments are, where's Ralph? Where's Ralph? Where's Ralph?
Them.
Come on. I'm not that bad, am I? Yeah, I take a couple jabs at Donald Trump, but that's it. It's comedy. I don't really care who wins. I think they're both, whatever. But so regardless, let's get back to wrestling. That's what we're here for. I think that in that segment, I thought Hangman Page should have hit Omega with the glass. A lot of people are saying that's a bad idea. What do you think?
I think that they could have done something to maybe build the tension a little bit more. I don't think it needed to be Hangman hitting him with the glass, but they had their little face off and that was it. I'll put it to you this way. If that was the closing segment of Dynamite and that was the last thing that you were going to see that was going to lead you into the pay-per-view, that's supposed to be the thing that's like, I'm buying the pay-per-view because that sold me right then and there. This feud that's supposed to mean so much and have so much emotion invested in it, that wouldn't have sold more pay-per-views based on what we saw.
Yeah.
So they could have done something a little bit, pull them apart. I don't know. And anything, a tease from Kenny of maybe like hitting Hangman, anything, something like that to build a little more intrigue. I mean, because you got to remember, it's not just about the AEW fans. Look, I'm going to buy the pay-per-view tonight. You're going to buy the pay-per-view tonight. If you're
Correct.
a hardcore AEW fan, you're buying the pay-per-view.
Yes.
What about the casual fan? You got to give them a reason to tune in. You got to give them a reason to say, okay, I'll spend my $50. And if they see that, I wasn't convinced like that's going to be a thing just because they had their little face off that it's like, okay, I'm going to spend $50 on this. That's more or less like, whatever. Okay.
Right. Now, obviously, you had in a recent episode, we were booking Kenny Omega's second year in AEW. I have him winning this match and eventually beating Moxley for the title.
Right.
You had Hangman Page winning.
Yes.
So take the prediction aside. Do you think AEW should do what you say and should have Hangman Page win tonight?
Of course I do, because that was my prediction. Why would I go against it?
Well, it wasn't supposed to be a prediction. It's just how you would book it.
I think he should win regardless because I think that Kenny Omega needs that one last thing that's going to push him over the edge, right? We've seen him tease that he's going to be the cleaner. I mean, we've seen him tease that he's going to be this heel character, but we haven't actually seen that happen yet. I think that a loss to Hangman is the thing that pushes him over the edge, and we get the Kenny Omega that we all loved from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
True. Someone actually brought up, Lee Jones brought up here, Hangman rode on a horse through the stadium. Do you actually see the horse coming back tonight in this big match?
Yeah, that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, so do we see the culmination of Kenny Omega as the cleaner tonight?
I certainly hope so. I would put it to you this way. If there was any way for AEW to buy the rights to the song and his theme Devil Sky from New Japan Pro Wrestling, that would be fucking sick if he came out to that. I don't think we're gonna see it.
There's obviously rights to it, and they don't have that Mikey Ruckus guy making all these songs just so that they can just take the one from New Japan. So I doubt that's going to happen. I think we're going to get the girls dancing with the broomsticks and that over exaggerated intro from Justin Roberts, and Kenny Omega is going to come out in some kind of Street Fighter or some video game t-shirt, whatever it is, maybe Tumba from PlayStation. I don't know if anybody's ever played that game, but that's a deep dive. Tumba on PlayStation, play it, find it, play it. It's like a rare gem, hidden gem, but nonetheless, who wins?
Hangman.
You're still going with Hangman?
Yes. Something's got to push Kenny over the edge. What is that? If Kenny beats Hangman, that doesn't do anything for him. And so him beating Hangman, how does that get him any closer to becoming a heel or the cleaner? It doesn't, in my opinion.
Well, he would then be the heel in the story with Moxley. It would just make him...
Something's got to trigger it. Something's got to get him to the point where he flips or...
Well, he's been teasing it ever since he lost the tag titles to FTR.
Well, just because somebody's tickling his ass with a feather doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Come on.
Come on. Let's go. Let's commit. Let's dive in the deep end.
All right. So you're going with Hangman. I'm going with Omega. I think we have a lot of different predictions tonight. This is going to be a fun review tomorrow.
We're going to have to get a recount by the end of the show.
Maybe. All right. So next up, we're going to start with the championship matches, ladies and gentlemen. The AEW Women's Championship, Hikaru Shida against Nyla Rose. So, what happened here? Uh-oh. Freaking all my freaking things here with the graphics. This is what happens when you try to do things live. Oh well. So anyway, Ralph, who wins? Or let's talk about the actual build itself. Cody mentions how Nyla Rose, or lack thereof. Cody Rhodes says that there's no problem with the fact that Nyla Rose is the number one rank, and that's really the only story to it. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't agree. Let's look at it this way. Okay. We just saw how many months build up towards Bayley and Sasha, which was very well done. Probably one of the better things that WWE has actually done this year. Now, how meaningful would that have been if it was just, hey, Bayley, you're going to go against Sasha next week and Sasha takes the belt off her? You know, it still would make for a good match. It would still make for a good moment, but you want to be invested in the product. You want to be invested in the match. This is why we watch pro wrestling. This is why we get into sports, because you have that emotional connection with your favorite team, your favorite athlete, and you root for them. Or there's an athlete that you really hate and you root against that person. But when it's just, you could have two good baseball teams play against each other. If I'm a Yankee fan, okay, I'll watch the World Series if it's like the Braves versus whoever, and I'll still be into it, but it's not like I'm going to be invested in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd rather see them build stories up than just throw it together and say, it's a title match. It's fine. Is it really though?
Right.
Doesn't that kind of belittle the title itself, that you're saying, well, the title sells the match. You don't need a story.
True. But at the same time, I get what he's trying to say, and he's trying to make it more sports centric, which in other cases, some people aren't, like Chris Jericho. And he even brought that up in the media call that Chris Jericho's doing his thing, Cody's doing his thing, and everyone's kind of doing their own thing. But we always kind of bitch about these rankings and that they don't matter. Now, when their story is literally, we're just using the rankings to decide who's the number one contender, people are complaining about it. So which is it? Do we want the rankings to matter, or do we not want them to matter?
I want them to matter because they told us they're supposed to matter. I don't really care for rankings. I don't think you need rankings to have a successful wrestling company that people can be invested in. You can tell good stories just based on who's over, who's hot, who people are into, and putting the people in those positions in those matches. So the pay-per-view sell, merchandise sell, all that type of stuff. I can see it go either way, but either have them be meaningful or don't have them be meaningful. Don't do it like, okay, one week they matter, the next week they don't.
Right. Now, on the past episode of AEW Dynamite, Vicky Guerrero cuts a promo on not only Hikaru Shida, but Brandi Rhodes. I think this is foreshadowing that we're going to get Nyla Rose and Brandi Rhodes in some kind of storyline for the women's championship. Would you agree with me on that?
It's possible, sure.
All right. So with that said, who wins?
Shida.
So Shida's retaining, despite the fact that they're kind of laying the next storyline between Nyla Rose and Brandi Rhodes.
Well, they don't have to feud for the title, so I don't see Nyla winning right now.
Okay.
Again, so if you want to build, if there was a build towards this match and you gave me a reason to think that Nyla had a chance, then okay, maybe there's a little intrigue there. But because there's been no build, why should I think that Nyla is going to beat her? I don't know. It's just unfortunate. I'm not into the match that much.
Right. So I'm going to go with Nyla Rose. So again, another split prediction here. I'm going with Nyla Rose, and then the story is going to be with Brandi Rhodes here. So
our next, I look like a bald Seth Rollins again.
A bald Seth Rollins. You get that a lot. You really do. So let's head on to our next match here. It is for the tag team championship, and that is the Young Bucks versus FTR. This is going to be one that a lot of people have been waiting for. It's been a dream match for a while, Ralph. However, seems like Matt Jackson's injured. According to Dave Meltzer, Matt Jackson is working with both a partially torn MCL and a slight tear ACL. So how big is that heading into this match? Do you think this hinders the match at all?
Well, luckily it's a tag match, so it's not like he has to do all of the hard work or the big spots, or however you want to put it. It certainly doesn't help matters. So, I think that it will hurt the match a little bit. But,
Yeah.
I think it'll still be a decent match.
Yeah, I mean, especially because you're talking about the fact that the dynamic of this match, you have the traditional sense of FTR, who FTR stands for follow the rules. And then you have the Young Bucks in today's wrestling, where FTR stands for forget the rules. Rick Knox is going to be the referee in this match. So where do you think this match lies as far as with the actual rules? Do we actually see rule enforcement, or do we see more PWG style wrestling?
I think that the Young Bucks are going to try to work the PWG high flying style where the rules don't matter. But I think that FTR is going to try to implement a game plan where they don't allow that to happen. Similar to the match that they had with the Rhodes brothers. So if you think back to, was that Double or Nothing where they
No, that was
Cody
Fight for the Fallen.
Okay. Cody and Dustin versus the Young Bucks. That was very much the story that they were trying to tell. And then towards the tail end of the match, things got a little crazy. But either way, I think that FDR is going to try to make them work a more traditional style professional wrestling match, and that's going to be the story of it.
Right.
And can the Young Bucks overcome FTR trying to force them to work that type of match? True.
But I think the injury is going to hinder this match a lot, I think the fact that Matt Jackson's hurt is they're going to hide him a lot in this match. And honestly, I don't know if that necessarily means that FTR is going to retain here, especially when you put in this stipulation that if the Young Bucks lose, they can't go for the titles again, which even Cody Rhodes said it was a bad idea. I'm not a fan of this stipulation, but do you think with the stipulation, they tip their hand in saying that the Bucks are winning or the Bucks are losing?
I think the Bucks are going to lose, but I don't like the stipulation only because Cody already did this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
1 year ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think FTR is still going to win tonight.
I think because they already did this once, I doubt they're going to have the EVPs lose to the same stipulation twice in the same pay-per-view. The Bucks have to be winning. I just don't know how long they're going to have the titles because Matt is hurt. So that's the thing. We got to take into consideration here. So before we head into our final two matches, I do want to thank everybody for joining us here on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Michael Valenti alongside Ralph Valenti. If you want to support the channel, you can get some merchandise. We have t-shirts, hoodies. You could click the link in the pinned comment below this video, and you'll get 10% off on your purchase on anything SCP related. Also, you could join the Super Chat party. The more you donate, the more Ralph smiles. So any dollar amount will help. And if you have a question, we'll answer it for you. So let's head to our next match here. It is for the TNT Championship. Cody Rhodes versus Darby Allin. This is the fourth time these two have squared off since AEW started. There was the Fyter Fest time limit draw at AEW Homecoming. Cody won. Cody won again in the first round of the TNT Championship match. And here we are again. There's always been some weird... there's been something that cost Darby the match in the 2 wins for Cody. So does Darby finally get over the hump here? That's the question. Does that play a role in this match? And also, let's not forget, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, and Taz also teased that they're going to be having their eye on this match. So do they get involved as well?
Maybe Darby joins Team Taz.
Why would they? That would be such a bad move, I think, because I think Darby is a big baby face that the fans want to get behind. If he joins Team Taz, that kind of derails the whole momentum of that.
Yeah, I think that Darby needs to win this match now. I've always said all along, even going back before Cody lost to Mr. Brody Lee, I felt like Darby should have been the one to take the belt off Cody because that's just kind of the direction that this has gone for him.
Mm-hmm.
He lost the 3, or he lost twice, and he's got the draw.
Right.
So that's the storyline there. Like, can Darby get over the hump? Can he beat Cody? Can he win the big one? And to this point, the answer has been no. He's lost to Cody twice. He's gone to a draw with Cody. He's lost to Moxley. I'm sure he's lost some other high-profile matches against some of the top-tier guys. And I think tonight's the night where he takes that extra step, because when you look at the top-tier guys in AEW, a lot of them are former WWE guys. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a fact.
Right.
Darby Allin is one of those guys that is unique. He can be his own guy. He can be a new star. He can be different. And I think they should roll the dice with him. I mean, it's not like it's going to hurt them. He's over with their current fan base. Why not take the chance? Have Darby go over Cody here and let him take the next step in his career and see what happens.
I agree. I agree. I think they need to pull the trigger on Darby Allin to do something here, or else we start getting that word that everybody likes to throw around, and that is buried. He's a guy that has had many chances to win a big match, and he hasn't yet. So then people start saying, oh, Darby Allin's buried. And then you have those people that are anti-Cody Rhodes saying he is Triple H in AEW, which I kind of starting to see it. Like, at first I was like, okay, he wants to be the EVP. He wants to be the face of AEW, but at the same time, he's going to put over those young talent. But now, every time there's a big match with Cody, there has to be some theatrics to it. There has to be some outside interference, and he ends up getting over. And it doesn't really help the opponent. So I think we're starting to see that like Triple H 2.0 that we saw with WWE. But I hope that's not the case.
The Nightmare family has now become the Nightmare Extended family, introducing new members this past week with Billy and Austin Gunn, correct?
Yes.
The Gun Club.
Yes. We also got I believe that's euros, 10 euro donation to the Super Chat party from Ahmed Alafai. Again, I apologize if I mispronounce your name. He's been saying, here's what he said. He's been waiting to catch you guys live. I love your work. I like Ralph's tough criticism on AEW sometimes. Enjoy your comments, Michael. Here to show support, thoughts on AEW's women's division. Now, we've already talked about the women's division. To an extent, I think they're booking NWA's division a little bit better than their own division. But let's get back to the TNT Championship match. What do you think about the women's division before we continue on?
My main thoughts on the AEW women's division, I think that they have a couple of good female wrestlers. I think that there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah.
I think that they just need time to develop. They are years behind, and I'm not even saying they need to get either some more established women in that for that division, and that I don't see that happening anytime soon because WWE or other Impact, whoever has a lot of those women under contract.
Right.
I don't see them leaving anytime soon. So it's going to take a while for them to really build that chemistry up and get it to where it needs to be. But it can get there. It's just, how long is it going to take before it can get to that point?
Right. By the way, Lee Jones corrected me. Those were pounds, not euros. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure out dollars and cents here in America. So, all right. Back to the Cody and Darby match. Who wins?
Darby.
I'm going with Darby. I think they finally pulled the trigger on Darby. Main event time, Ralph, for the AEW Championship in an I Quit match. Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. Let's face facts. When it comes to the promos, this match has so done well. I mean, their promos have been great. Eddie Kingston has been fire ever since he started in AEW. And I mean, this is just I know it's not going to be like a 5-star match on the Meltzer scale. This isn't going to be one that people are going to talk about. Well, if it's in the Tokyo Dome, it's going to be 8 stars. But this match is going to be all about the story and the passion between these two. It's not going to be about the technical prowess of these two guys because they're not really the greatest technically. But I think the fact that this is going to be physical, it's going to be passionate, there's going to be a story behind it. That's why I think it's going to be the match of the night.
Imagine this. So we know that Kingston has said all along he has sold himself out because he wants that championship so bad. Now, we've seen Moxley bring up his mother, I think, a couple of times now.
Yep.
There's some type of relationship. Now, imagine the mother is at ringside or an actress playing his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes in the ring because they have beaten the holy crap out of each other, right? And the family, meaning, the Lucha Brothers and the Butcher and the Blade, they come into the ring.
Yep.
They hold Moxley back. And Kingston acts like he's going to pile drive his own mother, forcing Jon Moxley to say, I quit, preventing it from happening. That would be a hell of a twist. To just show how evil
Wait, hold on. Let me get this straight. So the way you're going to try to book this is to have Eddie Kingston attempt to pile drive his own mother to force Moxley to quit.
Because Moxley will not quit. That's the only thing that will get, that's how far he would have to go. And knowing that Kingston has said that he will do anything for that title. He would do anything. Just my thoughts. But anyway, this match is going to be good. It is going to be in your face. It is going to be, I'm sure both of them will end up bleeding in it. I think Moxley wins this match, and here's why. We got to remember AEW is still a very, very new professional wrestling company.
Yes.
We got to remember that Jon Moxley is their top dog. Now, he's also their top ratings guy. He's their most noticed guy in AEW. So
without a doubt,
Kingston, he's got a good feel-good story behind him because he's the guy that essentially came out, challenged Cody, and the fans got behind him so much that he ended up getting a contract. Now, the unfortunate thing for him is this. He's not a big a star as Jon Moxley. He could potentially get there, but not right now. I don't see them taking the belt off Moxley. He's their cash cow.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Other than MJF and Jericho, I think Moxley's easily the ratings draw in AEW, and I think he's definitely a better ratings draw than both of them right now. Eddie Kingston is a guy that, just for his promos alone, I bet you he will eventually become a ratings grab for AEW. I don't know at what extent, like if he loses this match, how his momentum gets halted. I don't think it does, especially when you still have the potential with him and Pac still there, all the stuff with the family still there. I like Kingston, a loss from Moxley does not hurt him. The question is how he loses, I think will determine what derails him. Obviously they can't do the pass out thing because someone has to quit. So if Kingston loses, how do you get him to quit? Do you have Jon Moxley try to pile drive Renee Young?
Potentially. I don't know.
Come on. You can't do that.
No, but maybe Eddie Kingston tries to pile drive Renee Young. I saw somebody say that. That's actually a probably more likely scenario other than, Kingston trying to pile drive his own mother. But
doesn't she have like a 1-year no compete clause though? Like
she might. Who the hell knows?
At this point, I don't know, but maybe Pac comes and has something, or do they do like in the Royal Rumble in, what was that, 99, where The Rock and Mankind, and they have something audio taped?
No, I don't want to see that.
No, I don't either. But someone actually mentioned this. Leon Bright mentioned in the chat, if Eddie Kingston improves his physique, he gets over really quick. Imagine a buff, gangsta, badass, Mad King Eddie Kingston. I mean, yeah, he's got a little gut, but that makes him more authentic, I think.
It's not like I wouldn't say he's like out of shape.
He's got like a beer belly kind of thing, but it kind of fits his character.
He's supposed to be, he's to me is what he doesn't even, it's like he's trying to portray a character. Like that's who he is.
Yeah.
That he's not the type of guy you'd walk up to on the street and just start mouthing off to. So,
right.
I think it works for him.
All right. Yeah. So you're going with the Moxley retention.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Moxley retention too. So you will eventually see Moxley versus Hangman Page according to yours prediction. I have Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley at some point. I think it's going to be a Revolution, and then Omega's going to take the title off of him. So on the first episode of AEW Dynamite, we saw Jon Moxley come from behind and start that feud with him and Omega. Do you think they have the tables turned where Moxley is celebrating and Omega comes from behind and puts Moxley through whatever glass table or whatever furniture they could find? That would be a great twist to this and a great way to close off the show. If Kenta's not challenging Moxley for the IWGP United States Championship. Yeah, right. So we'll see. But all right, we're going to take 15 to 30 minutes here. If you guys have any questions you want us to answer on anything, doesn't have to be AEW related, but you certainly can ask. Just put the hashtag question next to your question so I can see it better. Also, to cut that line, donate to the Super Chat Party. We got merchandise on sale, 10% off tonight when you use the promo code SCPB10. The link is in the comment section. So I don't know if there's any questions here. I know a lot of people are asking, who do you think is going to be the surprise? Let's see. Oh, here's one. Jason Scabaris. His question is, do you think we could see FTR lose the belts, then go win the NWA Crockett Cup, face the Bucks again? Kind of leads more towards the Four Horsemen getting the NWA belts again.
That would definitely be interesting. I don't know, though, because the hard thing is this. If FTR goes outside of AEW, they could win that Crockett Cup, but at the same time, like, does that do anything for AEW? Not so much. It probably does more for NWA.
Mm-hmm.
Having one of your top tag team draws going to work outside of AEW doesn't do AEW any favors.
Right.
I'm sure they get paid a lot of money and they want to see them perform on a weekly or mostly weekly basis on AEW.
Right. And I think for the story of who's the best tag team champions, it definitely would help that FTR win the Crockett Cup. But at the same time, try to keep them on AEW as much as possible, and try to tell the story that way. So we'll see where it goes. But I think that's a great question, Jason. Good. Thank you for the question. S.A. Hansel, again, if I butcher names, I apologize. But S.A. Hansel, he asked, Ralph, why did you shave your head? And Michael, why didn't you? Well, first, it's because I have hair. I don't need to shave it. Ralph doesn't have hair. He needs to shave it. It's simple as that.
Yeah, and I honestly kind of like the whole beard, bald head look. I don't know what you guys think. Maybe you could leave a few comments. But by the way, I edged this up myself. Pretty damn proud of that.
Yeah, I edged mine too. I might have went a little too close on my beard, but
I use a straight razor to do mine.
I used the Harry's razor, and then electric razor to make it. So.
No. We don't play any fucking games in the Valenti household over here. We use the straight razor, straight to the skin, straight to the scalp, and we take it all off.
Good to know.
Looking like $100.
Look at that, folks. Look at that. Looking like $100, where I look like $1 million. Anyway, Anod asked, what are your thoughts on New Japan Pro Wrestling's Power Struggle show? I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I know what happens. Surprised with a couple of the results. I don't know where they're going to lead. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it and want to see it. But there were some surprising outcomes and good story progression with some of the matches. I'll put it that way. Did you watch any of the New Japan, Ralph?
I didn't see it yet, but I did see the results and I was surprised by some of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Leon Bright, I appreciate the authenticity of Eddie Kingston, but putting him on the next level, a champ, buff, Mad King, that I guess that's more of a comment than a question. All right. Let's see. Dang it. I lost my spot. This is why it's so important to put question. Then I know where my spot is. Do you think Tessa Blanchard would be a good fit for Team Taz? From Leon Bright.
That'd be pretty cool. I could see it.
I could see her as the Four Horsemen and make her a horsewoman too. Because everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a guy. Doesn't necessarily have to be a guy. I mean, yes, it's the Four Horsemen, but
the revelation. Maybe tonight we get that revelation.
That's true. It's 2020. Anything could happen. So Pablo B23 asking, any chance Tessa debuts? I think we all are in agreement that it's the most likely scenario at this point. But Hungry Xenomorph, his question is, which of the damaged goods stars, Tessa, Marty, etc., do you think will show up first and where? I know Marty Squirrel teased on Instagram the villain. So might be getting that back soon. Honestly, with the allegations that Marty has, I really doubt he's coming to AEW. It's hard. Because it's not like some of the other allegations where like the evidence is kind of misleading. He admitted to what he did, and granted it's legal in the UK, it's still kind of creepy, and knowing the fan base of AEW, they might not like that Marty move over some other moves. That's just me analyzing what I've seen on social media. That's not my it's hard to analyze that one personally.
I have no thoughts. I don't keep up with all the gossip. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's hard because with how easy it is to manipulate information, some people will be like, oh my God, how can you say this is false? Oh my God, how can you say this is true? Like, it's so hard on social media. K Webb, big fan of the podcast, big fan of the channel. He donated $5 to the super chat party. And he actually won a hoodie from us recently. I believe it's in the mail. I got the notification it's in the mail, Kay. But thank you for the support. Thank you for your $5. His question is, who do you think will be in the top 5 of PWI's tag team list? I believe the tag team list is coming out within a month. I think Bucks, FTR, The North, Street Profits, New Day. Not in that order, but those are probably the 5 I go with.
That probably sounds right. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else who could be in there. Good Brothers, maybe? They've been booked like shit. They weren't even used for half the year by WWE. No, not by WWE, but I'm talking about TNA here.
Yeah.
Impact, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Because it's tough because, I mean, there's a lot of good tag teams in AEW.
Yep.
Impact's got some good tag teams, and WWE has...
They have good tag teams, but they don't book them.
Right. They have good tag teams that they use like once a week.
Yeah. I mean, the only ones they book...
when they're in a feud, they'll book them good.
Right. But I mean, yes, PWI uses a kayfabe structure. So that's where I think it's going to be a sense of the Street Profits making the top 5 because they're really the only tag team that was booked strong as a tag team throughout the year, especially when they've had whatever tag team title it was. So thank you for the question, Kay. I mean, once those lists come out, you know, we're going to be analyzing it. So, MKASPPDO64. I'm not sure if you're supposed to spell it out like that, if there's a special pronunciation. Again, I apologize. His question is, do you see Eddie losing because of Lance Archer has been talking smack for the last 2 weeks on Dark?
I mean, I would hope. See, that's part of the problem. He's been talking smack on Dark.
Yeah.
Not everybody watches Dark. That's not your flagship show. Like, if that's going to legitimately be the reason he loses,
yep, that
needs to happen on Dynamite, where everybody or a majority of their fan base watches.
Yep.
It's maybe a quarter of their fan base, if that, is watching Dark.
Yeah.
And what good does that do?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It could be that Archer gets involved because even on Dynamite, there were hints of Kingston calling out Archer, especially in for not being eliminated in the Casino Battle Royale. If Kingston is able to win, maybe Archer becomes first in line as number 1 contender. You could always do that as play a storyline. I don't know if that would be exactly a ratings grab because Archer, he's got Jake Roberts as his mouthpiece, but how much could that carry on as, you know, an aging Jake Roberts being the mouthpiece for Lance Archer? It could work because you got arguably the best promo ever in wrestling history in Jake Roberts with Eddie Kingston, who has been cutting great promo after great promo. So it could be, it's a possibility. Asmira Williams, how is the best AEW tag team champions and world champions?
Probably who is the best AEW?
Oh, who is the best AEW tag champions? Who is the best world champion? So we only know 2 world champions, Jericho, Moxley. I think Moxley's been better with his title reign than Jericho was. Tag team champions, can't really call FTR. Their reigns just started. SCU had a good run with it, but Kenny and Hangman, I think that's an easy one, I think. Zero the Hero. Will we ever see Ralph in an Orange Cassidy costume?
No.
You sure? I think we should put that as a bet. If I win the predictions, you have to come on the next episode as Orange Cassidy.
I would have to run out and get a denim jacket, and I'm in no rush to go to a department store to buy myself a denim jacket in the middle of a pandemic.
All right, so maybe not the next episode, but in a future episode, you will have to dress like Orange Cassidy. So All right, keep these questions coming. They're good so far. And of course, you want to cut the line, donate to the Super Chat Party. Any dollar amount will help support the channel. And we appreciate what you guys have done so far. Next question from Adnod. What do you think the future of Marty Squirrel? Is he going to be stuck in the indies forever because of the allegation, or does he land in AEW or WWE? I think the allegations are a little bit more than just allegations at this point. I mean, maybe time heals all wounds on that one, but it's going to be tough, I think, personally. But next question. Has Hangman done enough to deserve the title shot based on his character work, not in the ring? Or does Ralph want him in the title picture because it makes sense based on his potential?
It's tough. The reason it's tough is because you can't really character development is really kind of defined by how the fans react to you, and that can be judged by merchandise sales. That can be judged by the way people react when your music hits, the pop, so to speak. You can't judge any of that stuff really as far as like actual live in-person reaction, other than like maybe Jericho because of the pandemic. It's not like they have a packed stadium or a packed arena when they're having these guys come out and reacting to all this stuff. So I think that Hangman Page was actually one of the more over guys right before the pandemic. He was getting one of the biggest and most consistent pops of anybody in AEW. So I think that he was clicking, and I think that his character was going in the right direction.
Right.
And I also think that he's been really good in the ring too. So I think he's been delivering on both fronts.
Yeah, I agree. Did we get another donation here? I think we did. We got another 10-pound donation from Ahmed. I think he asked the same question. What are your thoughts on the women's division? We already answered that. There's some good talent there, but at the same time, they got to work on the booking. I think Nyla and Brandy with a good story could help with that a little bit, but who knows at this point. Let's see. Maddie Ashai, I think that's how you pronounce it. Again, apologize if I butcher your names. Do you see Jon Moxley ever going back to WWE?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think
you got to realize how much money there is going to be waiting for him on the other side, because he is one of the few people who has been able to, him, Cody, even Jericho, you could say, those are the guys that have been able to leave the machine and really probably are in a better off position because they're still performing at a high level and they're still getting a lot of fans behind them. I think the thing that Moxley has to look forward to the most is the fact that he comes from one of the biggest and best factions of all time. The Shield was one of the most successful factions of all time. If there's a long break, like a 7-year break, 5-year break, 10-year break, and there's a reunion at some point at a WrestleMania, that's a lot of money in Jon Moxley's pocket.
Yeah.
So I got to say that, yes, he will be back in WWE at some point.
And of course, never say never. Never say never, as they always say. Shay asks, do you think that AEW will do an invasion storyline someday? I mean, eventually. I just don't know who's invading.
Like WWE invasion?
Yeah, like you know how they do like the Nexus invasion or Retribution kind of invasion, like one of those kind of storylines. I mean, eventually they would.
Yeah.
Now, probably not. Do you think AEW stars will re-sign when their contracts are up? I think some will and some won't. Some will use this as their catapult to get famous in AEW and then become a bigger star in WWE, like we saw with like a Jericho when he jumped ship from WCW to WWE. I definitely see that.
Well,
like
MJF, how much money he'll probably be offered by
MJF
WWE.
when he becomes a free agent is going to make a lot of money. And if WWE plays their cards right and can land him, that's when he becomes a megastar, I think.
And you know, here's the thing, because a lot of times I talk about the business side of things and people get upset. Like if I make the assumption, or if I offer that, you know, WWE or AEW should sign John Cena if they ever had the chance, a lot of AEW fans are going to say, oh no way, please don't do that.
Yeah.
But you got to think about what that would do for the business, the amount of fans that he would bring in with him, the amount of attention. I mean, this is a huge star. So it's not necessarily the fact that you want to see John Cena in AEW. It's the fact that knowing what something like that would do for the business of AEW. And by that, what I mean is you need them to make more money, because the only way they're going to be able to retain this talent that they have now is by paying them. I mean, look at, you got guys like Darby Allin, you got guys like Jon Moxley, you got guys like Chris Jericho, you got guys like MJF, whoever. I'm sure there's a bunch of other guys.
Yeah.
Adam Hangman Page.
Right.
Not all of them are just going to stay with AEW because, okay, well, there's a good environment here. There's really good chemistry. All of that may be true, but sometimes it comes down to money.
Yeah.
If they don't have the money to retain these guys, they're going to go to WWE. So in 4, 5, 6 years, when these guys' contracts start coming up, don't be surprised if a couple of them leave.
Right.
Because it's not like it hasn't happened before in professional wrestling. Guys used to go back and forth all the time between WCW, WWE. There's very few guys that have only worked in one company throughout the entirety of their career. You know, you're talking about Sting was in WCW until that folded. Then he went to TNA. You're talking about higher profile guys, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. All the other guys went back and forth, and it mostly came down to money.
Yeah.
So you want to see AEW grow.
Yeah.
You want to see them make money. They're going to have to pay these guys eventually.
Right. Yeah. So next question here. If Darby does beat Cody, could Sting be a way to help Darby's story with FTW? We could get great promo segments with Taz and Sting, which could help the story further. So
I think it could be cool. I don't think that there's really a dynamic there currently between Taz and Sting. I mean, their dynamic has been limited to aces and eights, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And I wouldn't even, and to be quite honest, Sting is an okay promo. I wouldn't say he's like a great talker.
No, I was never a fan of his promo work, you know?
Well, you got to remember, he's coming from the era in the 80s, early 90s when, you know, it was not so much like the content. It was more so like over the top.
Yeah,
like,
I'm just going to yell what I'm going to do to you.
Gimmicky, like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior type stuff.
Right.
He was a silent character. And then he really started cutting promos when he went back to TNA.
True.
Or when he went to TNA. So
yeah. Matt is asking, do you think Full Gear will be AEW's WrestleMania?
Full Gear?
Yeah. No.
I would say all out or Double or Nothing.
Yeah. I think Double or Nothing is their WrestleMania. No, actually, maybe All Out is their WrestleMania.
I would say All Out because All In was the thing that really got it going.
True. From Paul Miller, Ralph, do you think Orange Cassidy will ever be a serious character? If so, do you think you'll dress like him?
No, I don't think he'll ever be a serious character. I think that what you get from Orange Cassidy is exactly what his fan base wants. And as long as it's working, they're going to stick with it. I will never dress as him.
Right. Lee Jones asks, do you think Darby's risk-taking outside of the ring, you know, his skateboarding and his jackass-like stunts, jeopardizes his chance of winning a title? I think that kind of connects him with a certain subset of the audience that might help his chances, actually. It's just a matter of staying healthy, that they might be like, all right, he can't get hurt, or he's hurt all the time, so we can't put a title on him. Thank you, Cody Goat, for subscribing to the channel, by the way. Welcome to the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Thank you, everybody else that's joined us so far. I think there's a couple questions left here before we head on out.
Ralph Downer alert. What am I being a downer about now? I must have said something about Orange Cassidy that somebody didn't like.
Yeah, that seems to be the thing.
Can you expand upon that, please?
I'm sure someone can in the chat, please, because he really wants to know what he's doing wrong so he can fix it.
Oh no. I'm not fixing it. I'm not apologizing for my opinions. My opinions are my opinions. I will not be pressured into joining the mob to fit in. If I think something sucks, I'm going to say it sucks.
All right. Moving on. Leon Bright asks, AEW has a lot of talent. Assuming Mox drops the title to Omega and he drops the belt to Page, who do you think should be the champ after Hangman Page? Or do we see a Kenny versus Hangman Page feud for a while? Pac, regardless of if it's Omega or Page, Pac becomes the next AEW champion after that.
I could see that. I think that MJF should certainly get a run at it sooner rather than later.
I mean, first things first, I think when Pac returns, I think he's going to be at the forefront of the main event picture. So that's definitely going to help. 3 Senior Guapo. What if the Bucks win by disqualifications and the titles stay with FTR? If they lose, that means they can't go for the titles anymore. AEW has already proven to themselves they won't do a disqualification finish unless it's Brandon Cutler versus Peter Avalon. So I doubt it's a disqualification. That would be a huge letdown, and that would create some bad buzz on social media. Moro Jose Vaz just said, very good. I will subscribe to your channel. Thank you very much for the subscription. MJF versus Page would be cool based on their history with the Diamond Ring. I forgot about that too. Elijah Washington, what match do you start with?
I gotta open up with something that's going to get people into it. And that could be any number of them. I could see Cody and Darby opening. I could see the tag match opening.
The tag, they do tend to open shows with tag matches. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start with FTR and the Bucks, but I feel like that one needs time. And that one, if you let them go first, that might hinder the ability to get them to do their whole match, or that gives them more flexibility. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Is this going to be one of those pay-per-views where every match truly delivers like it's supposed to and expected to? Or is this going to be one of those matches where the last 2 matches save the pay-per-view? And what I mean by that, is it going to be like you watch the pay-per-view and it's like 4 matches, 5 matches in, and you're like, oh man, I don't know, this is pretty rough.
Yeah.
And then you get to the last 2 and it's like, okay, that sways you to think it was a really good pay-per-view. I think this card is very, very good. So
it is. I think it is. Oh, I guess I misunderstood Elijah's question. He said, what match you predict right now? We've already done all the predictions. So I apologize if I misunderstood what you were saying, but you could always go back and see what our predictions are. But I guess
Orange Cassidy's opening.
I guess Orange Cassidy's opening, someone said. Thoughts on today's surprise? We've talked about that already. I think it's going to be Tessa. Maybe Kenta. Who knows?
Maybe Gangrel.
Gangrel. That would be a great surprise. Doink the Clown. Maybe. Last comment here, I think, and then we'll close it out here. Corey C. Lights go out, and when they come back on, Sting will have Cody and the Scorpion Deathstroke, new TNT champion, Darby Allin.
Maybe.
Because it's a Cody match. People
really want to see Sting. People really want to see Sting. It's ironic because so many people were calling for the Undertaker to retire for years now, and now everybody wants to see Sting back in the ring. It's just, I don't know. I think because of how he see him wrestle, or they want to see the moment.
I think it's because of how he was forced to retire after the match with Seth.
Well, the guy broke his neck. So.
Yeah. I think that's part of it. And also Sting, as you mentioned, is like the poster boy of, until he went to WWE in 2014 or 2015, he was like the guy that never went to WWE. So a lot of people are behind him. He was the face of WCW for such a long time. And I think some AEW fans are former WCW fans that stopped watching wrestling after the buying of WCW. So I think that's where it comes from. And they really want to see Sting back on TNT television. I think that's what it comes down to. Who becomes champion first, Penta or Phoenix?
Neither
are going to be a champion. I say Ray Phoenix.
Champion. Neither will be the heavyweight champion. Not happening.
All right. So, all right. It's going to be a fun night here, ladies and gentlemen. AEW Full Gear. It's going to be a fun night. 9 matches. All of them could be match of the night. We all know Orange Cassidy versus John Silver will be the match of the night with their 1,000 play kicks. Chili's is going to sponsor the match. Cody Rhodes will have about 6 blade jobs. Kenny Omega will have 7 finger points to 10 V triggers. Jim Cornette will have a conniption, maybe have a stroke by the end of the night. So
is everybody aware that he blocked me?
If they follow us on Twitter, they do. But if not, yes. All those that call Ralph Cornette Jr., Jim Cornette blocked Ralph. Believe it or not. Yeah. Judy Garland, Forever in Oz. Thank you for subscribing as we head on out here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this live episode of the Squared Circle Psychobabble. We will be back tomorrow to review AEW Full Gear. Not sure if we're doing it live. Not sure we're doing it pre-taped. But either way, make sure you are subscribed if you're not yet. Hit the bell for notifications. The link underneath the video for 10% off AEW merchandise. And enjoy the show, guys. I think it's definitely going to be worth the $50 tonight. What do you think? Closing marks.
It'll be worth the $50. Somebody asked me what I'm eating tonight. Chili's.
Is that ironic that you're doing that, or were you going to do Chili's just because of John Silver?
I might eat Chili's. I might eat Cracker Barrel. You never know.
You might eat orange. I
got to see what's offered on Grubhub right after this.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy. We'll talk to you all tomorrow on the Squared Circle Psychobabble.